Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to A.O.S. Abroad. Um, Thank you, everyone, for joining once again. Really do appreciate you for coming on board. I don't take you for granted. Thank you once again. And if you are part of this, please let us know. Give us your name and your location if you are willing. I am Aziz Shudur from Ontario, Canada, and today we want to discuss a very interesting topic. And this topic is going to be one of the topics that many people in the diaspora, or let me say, many people back at home in Nigeria and other places, they have always been wanting to ask about it because, yes, this is the trending news. You understand, basically. This is the trending news about Canada immigration. And it's trending for a purpose because I think many of us in Nigeria, one way or the other, especially if we're educated, we have had one or more years of experience, you understand, doing this particular activity. So, in this profession, I think Canada has done justice or has assisted many of our people back home to do justice to this field of expertise. So today we are going to be talking specifically about the Canada Express Entries new education category. Do you understand? So we are going to be emphasizing on the facts and the figures. We are going to be talking about the eligibility criteria and the qualifications. We are going to also be talking about the occupations under this category and how you can actually show your expertise in this, you understand, area of influence. Now, there are many people that have been reaching out. In fact, there are many people that have also been sending me their certifications, their qualifications, their licenses. You understand? And we have to really look into this category, the education category under the express entry of Canada immigration. And we have to see if truly if truly what you have is something that can allow you to become qualified for your immigration pathway. And if you are now qualified, what do you need to do? If you are not qualified yet, how can you become qualified? Do you understand? Because there's something that I always talk about when it relates to things like this. I always talk about my own story when it relates to Canada immigration. And many times, what we feel that we are qualified for, what we feel that we are eligible for, you may find out later on that you are not eligible for it. So, and it may be sad if at the end of the day you have planned, you have worked towards something, but at the end of the day, you are not getting selected because you did not have what it takes to actually become eligible, become selected. Okay, thank you very much, Kensley. Kensley, once again, is telling me I've been seeing him in our lives. He's saying once again, hey, we've still looking good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So, this is my weave for those that actually know it. I got it from Temu or Temu, anyone they will call it. So, if you're in Canada or in Nigeria or any place in US or places like that, you can also get this weave on Timo. And if you want the link, maybe I should even actually get, because people have been commenting on how good my weave is. So if you want it, maybe I could go on Timo and look for the link if I will get the little commission from them for publicizing and promoting it. Okay, so that on the side. Today, as we're saying, we are going to be discussing the new education category under the category based selections of express entry for permanent residents. You understand? Basically, for Canada immigration, for you to immigrate permanently to the country of Canada. And the beauty of this category is that it is not like a program like that I did, or the one that actually brought me into Canada. My own program was limited to a particular province, the province of Ontario, and that is why, you understand, I am currently living, residing, and staying fully in Ontario. But this category is a category that is under the federal government draws. Do you understand? And what that means is that you have the opportunity to stay in any part of Canada. In fact, if, for instance, you come to maybe Ontario and you're tired of Ontario, You can leave Ontario and go to British Columbia. You can leave British Columbia. You can go to anywhere in the country once you are given the opportunity to what to um become a permanent resident through the education cut. Oh, someone is asking, Baby Cakes is asking on TikTok, which or what program is that? The program, the what category is that? The category we are talking about is the education category, the new category that was introduced by what? By Canada under the category-based selection draws of express entry. And today I actually saw a very good article that I want to actually use to discuss this topic. And this article is from cicnews.com. So you can go there. I think I'll share the link for those that are especially on what they call it now on YouTube. Actually um presenting, yes, I'm presenting that particular article on YouTube. So you can check it out. And if you're not on YouTube, you can at least um just go on their website and you'll see it in the list of the articles that they wrote. Oh, someone is asking, okay, that's Baby Cakes again. Baby Cakes is asking, so like teachers, right? Yes, that's what we are saying. It's a category for teachers, but not all teachers, because we have found out that there are some specific teachers that they are looking for. It is not all teachers that are qualified for this. So we have to now, because I myself, I categorize myself as a teacher. Do you understand? I categorize well, but when it comes to official categorization, you understand, I'm not a teacher. Rather, I am an instructor. I am a tutor. Do you understand? There's a difference. You understand? Teachers have licenses, basically. And you have licenses from the country that you are actually currently teaching in, or the country that you are going to teach, anywhere you are, anywhere you want to practice, basically. But when it comes to tutors or instructors, people like us, we just have like diplomas, we have certifications, you understand, to teach a particular subject, to teach a particular field of study. Do you understand? I, for instance, I have a diploma. And what's the name of the diploma? The diploma is called Diplôme de la langue française. Do you understand? Diplôme de la langue française, or de la pédagogique d'éducation française, basically. This is the equivalent of a diploma to teach French in what? To teach French to students. Do you understand? What I have is diplôme d'études en langue française pour B2. Do you understand? Pour niveau B2. And that niveau B2 is the B2 level, which is the independent level. So I am an independent speaker of, though I've done TEF Canada, so and I had C1 in TEF Canada. So even I've gone beyond that independence to the expert level. Do you understand? So I can actually speak French, I can converse in French, learn French, teach French, I can, you understand, train people in French up to the expert level. Do you understand? Or at least the intermediate or independent level. So what we are saying in essence is I have a diploma from France to teach what? To teach French to some certain categories of learners, in French learners. So I am a French instructor. I'm a French tutor, because the diploma I have is not a license, basically. But many of the teachers, so to speak, that you are going to be seeing in this education category are professionals that need license to practice. So at least now we have cleared the difference between who a teacher is and who an instructor or a tutor is. Let's now go into, just like I said, I am a language instructor, or you can go call me a French tutor, any which one that works best for you. Now, let's now move on. We said from the article that was published on cicnews.com, they said, are you eligible for express entries new category, new education category? A very golden question, a question that many of you have to ask yourselves. And you can't just ask yourself these questions without knowing the facts about yourself, without having the, you understand, credentials that will make you eligible and things that will make you fit to actually become what? to actually become an educator. Now, let's move on. They said, based on what IRCC stated on their website, CIC News said, foreign trained school teachers, early childhood educators, do you understand, and other professionals in education are now eligible for category-based draws under Express Entry, offering these foreign nationals a new pathway to Canadian permanent residence, which is PR. Now, note, he said on 27 February 2025, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada (IRCC) added a new category under the Express Entry system for education occupations, which the department also identified as a priority category for invitations to apply ITA for PR for 2025. Now, this is very important. They have added this education category as one of the categories for the year 2025. And they didn't just add it, they also stated that it is going to be a priority. When they mean something to be a priority, that means they will first pick people under this category before they think of other categories. Just like the French category, if you notice, the French category, they have actually picked people like twice this year. Now, I think one in January, one in February, and we're still expecting more. In fact, there's a prediction that within 12 to 15 rounds of invitations will be conducted for French based on the previous um, invitations that we have had for the year 2024, 2023, and the likes. So they are now telling us that category-based draws are featured the lowest. Look at this. Look at this. That's why we are telling people one of the ways you can come into Canada is through these draws. They said category-based draws have featured the lowest comprehensive ranking score system score, CRS score cutoffs of any draw types in the Express Entry system since their introduction in 2023. For those that know, the category-based draws were introduced in the year 2023, and many people have used that to actually come into Canada. They have taken advantage of it to come into Canada. In fact, in the year 2023, we at A.O.S Abroad, we started training people on French. Do you understand? To take advantage of the French-based category, the French speaking proficiency category, so that people can actually come into Canada as French speakers. And of course, that's still one of the priority categories even till this year 2025. But let's go further in the article. They said this article will cover one, which occupations are now included under the category, the education category specifically. Two, we are going to talk about how to determine whether your work experience qualifies under one of the education occupations, and how Express Entry education category based draws work. Do you understand? Now let's talk about the first one. Which occupations are part of the education category? It's very important. My own occupation, being a language instructor, as I've said earlier, I fall into what? The language school teacher, or again, I'll say the language teacher, or the language instructor, or the language tutor. I fall under instructors for language schools and other vocational institutes. But as I went through the occupations for education category, my own occupation was not included in the list. So that shows that if you're a language teacher, especially if you don't have the license as an educator, just like I don't have, you may not actually qualify to be added into this category. But let's read what this article states. It said occupations in Canada are organized according to the country's National Occupation Classification (NOC), which is used to categorize and describe occupations by industry and sector. Now, they are telling us that part of the NOC system is the training, education, experience, and responsibilities ranking, the tier ranking, which assigns occupations a ranking based on the training, the education, and the experience required to perform that that occupation's responsibilities. Now, what do they mean by this? What they are telling us is that when it comes to the category, or when it comes to occupations in Canada in general, before you can say that you are in a particular occupation, you must have a training in that occupation. Do you understand? You must have educational background in that occupation. You must have work experience in that occupation. And your responsibilities or your duties that you did whilst you were working on that experience have to align with what is in that particular NOC code, National Occupation Classification Code. Now, let's give some examples. They said within this classification, the tier system, the tier 0 occupations require the highest amount of training. Tier 0 is managerial occupations. So you require highest amount of training. It will take you 10 plus years to get up to that tier 0 occupations. You understand? Because you require highest amount of training, highest amount of education and experience. While the tier 5 occupations require the least amount of what? Training, education, and experience. So if tier 0 requires you to have maybe like a master's degree, if it requires or a PhD, if it requires you to have 10 plus years of experience, if it is requiring you to have lots of on the job training. When it comes to tier 5 occupations, you may just use maybe like a WAEC for that, a primary school certificate for that, you understand, secondary school certificate for that. You may not even have any experience at all, 0 years of experience. Do you understand? You may not have on the job training. It is when you now start the job that you may now get you understand, get that particular experience. Now let's look at what they said. They said the following table breaks down the occupations included in the new education category, including their job titles, their tier levels, and the NOC codes. Now this is very important, very very important. When it comes to the education category under the express entry, there are basically five occupations that are qualified, five of them. And why are these very important is because there are more occupations that are under the education sector. But note that these occupations that Canada listed are based on the in-demand jobs, in-demand occupations that they currently are in need of, they are in search of in Canada. Let me rephrase. Language teachers, for instance, or language instructors as I am, may not be so much needed in Canada right now. As a result of that, they are not giving priority to people like us. But there are some other teachers in the same sector of education that they are needing because there are vacancies, job vacancies for them in the country and its different provinces. Now, what are these five jobs, five occupations? Number one, the number one job that is very much in demand and that is part of the education category is the elementary and secondary school teacher assistant, which is under the NOC code 43100. And the tier level is tier level 3. Some people may be asking, how do I know or what do I need to have for the tier level 3? We are still going to talk about it. But in summary, as I've said, there are tier levels from 0 to 5. If you fall under 3, just like this particular case, you may not really require a bachelor's. Do you understand? A college diploma may be enough for you to actually perform in that role. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Again, because college diplomas are roughly 1 to 2 years. When it comes to you getting tier levels that are tier level 1 or 2, you may need a bachelor's degree for that. Do you understand? Or better still, even a master's degree or a professional degree, a professional diploma for that. Now let's move on. That's the number one, elementary and secondary school teacher assistants. Two are the instructors of persons with disabilities with NOC code 42203, and the tier level is tier level 2. Now, you can't be a person that is teaching someone that is blind or someone that is deaf, or you understand, persons with disabilities, without you having significant training to actually perform in that occupation, right? Of course. And you cannot just say, okay, you go and do one college diploma that is not centered on persons with disabilities, because you may be able to teach regular people, but you may not be able, because there are some techniques, there are some strategies you have to use to teach someone that is deaf, someone that is blind, someone that, you understand, that has some difficulties, some syndromes. So as a result of that, this one may need you to actually have trained yourself or gotten some certifications that are professionals, or that are professional in nature. You may need to actually get some educational background, some certifications or degrees that are centered on people with disabilities. Do you understand? A normal person or someone that is just going to go and study maybe National Certification in Education, NCE in Nigeria, do you understand, may not be able to be an instructor of persons with disabilities, because there may not be specialization, basically specialization in that person's NCE program specific to what, people with disabilities. So someone that will perform in this role has to be someone that has what, aptitudes, abilities, and skill sets dealing with what, persons with disabilities. Do you understand? Now, number three are early childhood educators and assistants. Do you understand? ECs. Now, these people have NOC codes 42202, and their tier level is tier level 2. Now, similar to persons with disabilities, early childhood educators are not just anyhow people, because they are dealing with children. And me, for instance, I don't like teaching children. I have to be frank with you. I prefer adults, because I cannot be, see, especially in this Oyinbo, Ilo Oyinbo, in this Canada. You understand? The way we teach in Nigeria is different from the way they teach in Canada. And me, I may not have the patience. I may not have the patience to teach children. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It is like I've lived with, you understand, people that have children. And sometimes the way even the children speak to their mothers, to their parents, I don't think I will have that patience. So, talk less of even their teachers. And of course, they can talk to them anyhow. So, me, I prefer adults. So, you being an early childhood educator, you need to be trained on how to take care or how to teach children. It is a different education entirely. So, you may need to get diplomas, degrees, certifications in that line to practice as an early childhood educator, because Oyinbo will not just give you their children to train anyhow. You need to be someone that you have taken some courses, you have taken some programs to show that you are skilled, you are informed about how to deal with children specially. Do you understand? Now, number four, the fourth occupation is elementary school and kindergarten teachers, similar to the early childhood educators and assistants. For elementary school and kindergarten teachers, these are teachers that are not just assistants. You are at the forefront of teaching to children, toddlers. Do you understand? Babies, basically. You are at the forefront of teaching them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Children may be from the ages 2 to ages 5 or 8, but when it comes to elementary and kindergarten teachers, you may be teaching children from 6 months to like 2 years, or even more than that. So you need to know how to teach them. You need to be trained on how to take care of them. You need to, like, there are some ways, this one is similar to someone that is a caregiver. There are some ways that you will train them, you will teach them that you have to make them like you. They should be able to trust you. You understand? And be willing to, you understand, listen to you. The NOC code for that is 41221, and the tier level is 1. For this one, they said you can't even do without it. You need to have a degree. Do you understand? A master's degree, a bachelor's degree, because tier level 1 requires, you understand, at least that bachelor's degree is important for that one. And lastly, we have the last occupation, the secondary school teachers, with NOC code 41220 and tier level 1. These are people that will teach maybe teenagers from the ages maybe like 12 to ages 18. Do you understand? So these ones, they are a little bit grown, but again, they can be saucy, they can be. So basically, you need to know how to take care of them. You need to know how to control yourself. You need to know how to lead yourself and of course, with your training, with your experience, with your education, your background, you should have been introduced to various, you understand, pedagogical methodologies when it comes to teaching this set of children. Now, let's now move on. Since we know the categories or the occupations that they are referring to, let's now talk about how can you determine if your work experience is eligible for what education category. Because just like I said when we started, not everyone is qualified. I, for instance, let's say they started this category when I was in Nigeria, I wouldn't qualify. So if I spend time on trying to gather all the documentation, the experience and everything, if I am not qualified with my education, because I studied bachelor's in linguistics, I will not get selected. So before you start focusing on the qualifications, on the category, let's look at it. Are you eligible for it? And based on CICnews.com, they said in addition to you maintaining a valid express entry profile that to be considered as part of the education category, that's what they are trying to hint, is that nobody can be qualified without you being on the what, on the express entry profile first. That is the number one thing. So you have to start creating your profiles. If you don't have the documentations to create your profile, start working towards it, because without an express entry profile, you can't be selected for education category. Now they are still telling us that foreign nationals must have accumulated at least 6 months, of what, full-time work experience, or an equal amount of part-time work experience. When they say an equal amount of part-time work experience, that means you must have gathered at least 1 year of part-time work experience. Let me break that down. Full-time is like 30 hours or more per week. Do you understand? While part-time is like 15 hours or more per week. So if you are working maybe like 5 to 6 days a week, 8 hours per day, then you would perfectly fit into the full-time role. But if you are working maybe like 4 hours per week or 4 hours per day, do you understand? 3 days a week, or you understand, less, or even about 4 days, you may qualify under the part-time experience. Now they said you must have accumulated either this 6 months full-time work experience or an equivalent amount of part-time work experience within the last 3 years in a single category eligible occupation. Now what do that mean? Again, when it comes to you being eligible for the education category, if we look at this year now, this year is March 2025, and they introduced the category February 27, 2025, right? But let's say this is March 2025. If we are to count back in terms of 3 years, March 2025 is where we are now. March 2024 is 1 year back. March 2023 is 2 years back. March 2022 is 3 years back, right? So within either 2022, March 2022, March 2023, or March 2024, do you understand? And this March 2025, you must have accumulated at least 6 months of either full-time work experience or 1 year of part-time work experience within that period. Do you understand? And they are now telling us to determine your eligibility for the education category, you will need to determine if the NOC that best describes your work experience falls under one of the eligible education occupations. Do you understand? So, if you want to claim that yes, you have the experience, the 6 months of full-time work experience or the 1 year part-time work experience, if you want to say yes, you have the education to back that up, you have the license to back that up, you have the training to show that yes, you are truly an educator or a teacher, then you need to now look at the NOC code. The NOC codes that we have listed, either the one for instructors with disability, either the one for elementary and kindergarten teachers or assistants, either the one of secondary school teachers. You understand? You have to now look into those NOCs and see if your work experience and your responsibilities or duties best falls into any of those eligible education occupations. If time permits us, once we are done with the article, we are going to go to a particular sample. Now, how do I determine the NOC code and job title associated with my work experience? How do you determine it? This is very important. Now, they are telling us finding the right NOC code for your work experience can be challenging due to the vastness of the NOC system. However, the government of Canada offers resources that can simplify the process. The main resource is the government of Canada's NOC page, which can be accessed here. Now I'm going to click on the link so that I can be redirected. And we're going to do a sample. Do you understand? To find the NOC code and occupation that title that aligns with your work experience, IRCC recommends that you follow these steps. 1. Scroll to the table at the bottom of the NOC page and type the job title of your work experience. Do you understand? Into the filter items field at the top of the table. Now let's look at it. Someone was asking me, so teachers, right? So let's go. Let's check. When we click on the NOC codes or the NOC website, let's type in the word teacher. Now, when I type in the word teacher, there are three different things that I see. Three different things that come up. The first one is 41220, which is tier 1 category for secondary school teachers. We also have 41221 for tier 1, which is elementary school and kindergarten teachers. And we have tier 3 category under NOC 43100, which is elementary and secondary school teacher assistants. Now, let's take the first one. The first one is the major one, or the one that I feel is quite simple for secondary school teachers. Now, let's now move on to what IRCC stated. They said, if the exact job title is not available, try entering what? Try entering a close match. For example, instead of entering speech coach, try speech pathologist. And that one is for someone that is not even under the education sector. Just like we did, we typed in the word teacher, right? And when we typed in the word teacher, it gave us 3 options. If your own is part of it, then you just work on that. If it is not part of it, instead of teacher, you can just put assistant or teacher assistant, and it's going to streamline, you understand, or instructor, because there, I think under the list of occupations eligible, we have instructors for what? Persons with disabilities. So you can just type in the word instructor and you'll see some, you understand, samples. Now they said, number 3, copy the tier number and the NOC code number from the result that most closely matches your profession. Many people in Nigeria especially if you went, maybe you finished your degree and you went for service here, you became a secondary school teacher. Many people will be secondary school teachers. Many people. I don't think that one is even difficult. Many people will be secondary school teachers. So just click on the NOC code 41220. Right? Now, what's the next step? They said to confirm that this is the correct code, visit the Employment and Social Development Canada ESDC web page. Click on the Search by NOC code tab and enter the NOC code you copied into the search bar and review the information for the corresponding professions. Now let's do that for what? Let's do that for secondary school teachers, right? Let's do that for secondary school teachers. Searching based on NOC code, we have secondary school what? Teachers 41220. Okay, thank you. I see some people actually sharing this live session on TikTok. So for those who don't know, every time we come on live, we're always on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and we're on YouTube. So you can always share with your friends and your family and let them be aware about what we are doing. Now, the 41220 secondary school teachers, based on the NOC codes and the ESDC website, ESDC states that secondary school teachers prepare and teach academic 1, technical 2, vocational 3, or specialized subjects at public and private secondary schools. Either at public or private secondary schools. These are secondary school teachers who are heads of departments are included in this unit group. Now, examples of the titles that you can see of a secondary school teacher is someone that says, oh, me, I am an adult education teacher in secondary school. You fall into that category. Oh, me, I am a biological teacher or biology teacher in secondary school. You fall into this category. I am a commerce teacher. You fall into this. Even English as a second language, ESL, high school teacher, you also fall into this if you have some educational background, which we'll talk about shortly. If you're an English teacher, secondary school, you fall into this. If you're a French as a second language teacher, in secondary school, you fall into this category. In fact, this is one of the things that confused me when I first started working on my own immigration. Because when I looked at this, I said, they said French as a secondary school teachers in secondary school. Then, or French as a second language teacher in secondary school. Then I can say that I'm a French teacher because yes, I teach French. I have a diploma, you understand, in French. I have trainings in French. I have tutored, I have trained, you understand, I have experience in that line for dunking out for more than 8 years. But again, the devil is in the details, as they always say. The devil is in the details. So you have to now look at the details, some of the things that you may not really understand until you find out that you're just wasting your time. But we are going to talk about that shortly. Now, let's move on to more examples of titles. If you're an history teacher, secondary school teacher, you fall into this. If you're a librarian or teacher, you fall into high school. Now, look at this. So that's why many of the subjects, they have teachers. And many of the teachers will fall into secondary school if they are teaching, of course, secondary school or high school teacher, or they're high school teachers. You understand? If you are a remedial teacher, secondary school, you fall into this category. Secondary school department head, you fall into this category. Secondary school teacher, yes. Special education teacher in secondary school, you fall into this category. If you are a supply high school teacher, you fall into this category. If you are a trades instructor in secondary school, you fall into this. If you are a vocational teacher in secondary school, you fall into this. Now, let's look at the main duties of these kinds of teachers. Before you can say you are a teacher, these are the things you must do. They said this group performs some or all of the following duties. It's not compulsory that you perform all the duties, but at least as a rule of thumb, out of 100%, you should perform at least 70 or more. You understand? Before you can know that yes, you fully are categorized into this occupation. 1, you must prepare subject material for presentation to students according to an approved curriculum. So the school that you are teaching in, of course, you have to prepare subject material. Even if you are using textbook, at least You are still going to be writing it on the board now, abi? You still be presenting it basically to the student. So you have to be involved. Two, you have to teach students using a systematic plan of lectures, discussions, audio-visual presentations, and laboratory, shop, and field studies. For me, for instance, when I was teaching, especially when I went for service, yes, I was preparing subject material because I had lesson notes. Two, I was going into the classroom and I was teaching the students through lectures, through presentations, through audio visuals. I was even using songs because, of course, French, you have to make it interesting. Using songs, using rhymes, using poems, you understand, to teach. Three, the third duty, you have to assign and correct homework. Of course, when I was in service here, I was giving homeworks to students and I was marking the homeworks, right? You have to prepare, administer, and correct tests. Yes, just like every other teacher, I was giving periodic tests. Sometimes it can be weekly, sometimes it can be what? It can be based on maybe like in a month or so. You give various tests. You have to evaluate. That's the fifth um duty. You have to evaluate progress, determine individual needs of students, and discuss results with parents and school officials. And of course, I was always evaluating because once you give tests, you have to evaluate your students to see how the students are faring. You have to inform the school officials. That time I had an headmaster, you understand, and headmaster rather, and I had to be informing him about how the children were doing in the class. The sixth duty, you have to prepare and implement remedial programs for students requiring extra help. Well, many people did not really require extra help, so I didn't do that. But you have to participate in staff meetings, educational conferences, and teacher training workshops. And of course, how many of our people were involved in many of those educational conferences and workshops? Many people were not. So if you look at it, even in one duty, you can break it down. I was participating in staff meetings, but our senior grammar school did not have conferences or workshops, so we didn't do those ones. So you leave down out of it. Now, may teach and evaluate students through distance or online courses. Yes, my school then, when me I was working, where I was working, they didn't have distance courses, online courses, because it was like in a rural area. But I, as a teacher, because I was teaching online too, I had online courses on my own website that I was using to teach people, you understand, at the site. So I had experience in that as well. Now, may advise students on course selection and on vocational and personal matters. And of course, when it came to people writing WAEC and them asking me that, oh, should I add French to my WAEC? Oh, can I pass? Can I do this? You have to discuss with students, try to advise them and see that, okay, the West African examination for junior secondary school students, you may take it. You have a you have a good mark. You understand, when we check your progress, you score very high in your test. You understand, you do a lot of assignment and things like that. You can use it to judge the progress of the student and see if that student can actually work on major examinations, you understand, externally. Now, lastly, they said may supervise student teachers. We didn't really have student teachers, do you understand, at uh, Owago Muslim Community Grammar School in Owago, Kwara State, Nigeria. So I didn't have to do that. But if we look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if we look at the 10 duties that I mentioned, which are the main duties, out of the 10 duties, the ones that I didn't do out of the 10 duties were, okay, supervising student teachers, I didn't do distance or online courses, and I didn't do remedial programs for extra help. So it was just 3 duties that I didn't do. I did 7 duties. So if we look at those main duties, I could say that yes, I categorize well as a what? As a secondary school what? As a secondary school teacher. But note, as I said, the devil is in the details. You may feel that yes, I'm a secondary school teacher because I have or I am doing many of those duties, right? I'm doing many of those duties. You now have to check what are the employment requirements. This is where it becomes interesting. You have to look at the employment requirements, because if you don't look at the employment requirements and you just judge solely based on the main duties, you may at the end of the day get approved to say, okay, you were what they call it, you were invited to apply for permanent residence. But it may sadden you that when you now start your application, IRCC will now say that based on what they saw, you don't fully match the what? You don't fully match the um, occupation. As a result of that, they may need to deny your application. So you don't want to spend a lot of time, you don't want to spend a lot of money and a lot of effort just to get rejected, because we have seen people getting rejected even now, you understand, than before. So you have to be very careful on the kind of occupation you choose and to be sure that yes, you are fully qualified for that occupation. Now, what is the employment requirement for secondary school teachers? You understand, those that have what? Those that have NOC codes of 41220. One, they said teachers of academic subjects require a bachelor's degree in education, which is often preceded by a bachelor's degree in arts or sciences. Now, look at this. Look at this is what for women because if we look at it critically, they said teachers of academic subjects. What are the academic subjects? For me, like for instance, even though my academic subject was not like biology or commerce or things like that, it was still like English, it was still French, right? So if we look at that, I can it can be said that I don't fully qualify under teacher with academic because I don't have bachelor's degree in education. Do you understand? I don't have bachelor's degree in education. And of course, I didn't have bachelor's degree in sciences, but I had bachelor's degree in arts because I studied bachelor's in linguistics, right? Now, one. Two, they said teachers of vocational or technical subjects require a bachelor's degree in education, which is usually preceded by specialized training or experience in the subject. So, if you are teaching vocational trainings or technical subjects, maybe STEM occupations or STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects, or you are teaching maybe tailoring, barbing, you understand, hair cutting, and things like that, you need to have bachelor's degree in education and you need to have specialized training or experience in that particular field of what? Expertise. I hope you are enjoying this. Please, if you are enjoying this, put a like, put share with your friends and your family. You understand? Put your best emoji. Let me know that I am actually communicating with people. Now, moving on. They said instructors of trades in Quebec require completion of an apprenticeship training program and industry or trade certification. So if you are going to Quebec, the province of Quebec in Canada, you need to complete an apprenticeship training. You can't just say you are an instructor without completing apprenticeship training or taking an industry or trade certification. Do you understand? Maybe like if you are teaching woodwork as a woodworker or as a woodwork teacher, you are instructor, as a woodwork instructor, you need to go get some apprenticeship training or some trade certification in that line before you can teach. Do you understand? Now, department heads usually require several years of teaching experience. Just like I've told you, you can't say you're an head of department or you're a head of department without you having 10 plus years or more, or you understand, at least it will be above the 5 year mark, or you understand, I think maybe like 8, 10, 15 years of experience to say that you are an head of what department. Oh, okay. Nana Zulai is asking, yes, like I was a maths teacher and I have BSc in mathematics education. Now this is very good. In Nigeria, thank God, we have something they call dual certification or dual diploma or double degree. Do you understand? So if you finished, just like Nana Zulai said on TikTok, if you've been finished with BSc in mathematics education, that means you have BSc in mathematics and you have BEd education or bachelor's in education, if that is what they give you, though. Let me know if in the comment section if that is what happened to you. So basically, they always say you have dual degrees, you have double honors. That's the word, double honors, right? So that double honors of mathematics and education is going to work best in this employment requirement because yes, you have skills as a mathematician and you have skills as a what? As an educator or as a teacher in that field. Now, let's look at more education employment requirements. They said to specialize in special education for maybe like people with disabilities or English or French as a second language, additional training is required. They said additional training. They did not say that you just need training alone in that field. Additional training. That means in addition to your what? to your bachelor's or your degree in education. In addition to what, your bachelor's in arts or science, you need what, additional training as a French teacher or as an English teacher. Oh, okay. Nana Zula is saying again that yes, that is what they give us in Ghana too. Good. So she's from Ghana, and that is what they give them. They give them double honors. Double honors as a mathematician and as an educator. So you have BSc in math education. And that's why I envy those that finished in education now more than ever. Because now they are so much eligible for many of these things that people like us. Thank God I've come into Canada already, so I don't need to actually focus on that. But people like me that are still back in Nigeria may need to go and do maybe like PGDE, you understand, postgraduate diploma in education, before they can be qualified for this if they have not yet done it already. Do you understand? Because they will not allow them to come in as teachers without having that um, diploma or degree in education. Now let's move on. They said a provincial teaching certificate is required. Now this is where it comes interesting. Some people were asking me before, and I don't know, maybe it was Nana Zulai that was asking in our past um what they call it, live sessions. Someone was asking me that, do I need to get a license in Canada before I actually get qualified for the education category? And based on what IRCC stated on its website, no, you don't need a license to immigrate to Canada as an educator or as a teacher. The only requirement is that yes, you have an education background, education work experience from back home, you understand, or from anywhere you are. Some people are not even in their in their home country. Some people like Nigeria, some of them are in Dubai. Like I got someone saying he's in Malaysia right now. You understand? So you may be in other countries, but anywhere you are, anywhere you want to claim the experience, that place have that experience as a teacher, basically. Now, but if you now come into Canada and you now want to work as a teacher, then you need to have a provincial teaching certificate, because many people will not employ you without you having that provincial teaching certificate to show that maybe in the province of Ontario where I am residing, you are a qualified teacher and you are under the association, or maybe in British Columbia and places like that. Yes. And lastly, they said membership in a provincial or territorial teachers association or federation may be required. Now, this is what I was saying. Because most times, before they can give you a provincial teaching certificate, you may need to actually be in an association or in a federation of teachers, you understand, in that province. So it may be required for you to have a membership, an active membership, you understand. It is not compulsory in some provinces, but it may be required, you understand, to actually be a teacher in that particular location. And additional information is that if you're in Quebec, just like we said, the trades training programs are usually offered in secondary school system. You also may actually progress. There's a progression to vice principal and other administrative positions in the education system, you understand, which is possible with experience. Secondary school teachers, as they say, may specialize in such areas like mathematics, English, French, special education, or secondary or second language instruction. Just like where I am now, I am under what, second language instruction. My own teaching abilities and experiences lies under what, second language instruction, either be it in the English or in the French languages. Now, secondary school teachers of vocational and trades subjects may specialize in areas such as hairdressing, auto mechanics, and things like that. Now, they said exclusions. Exclusion, this is very important. This is one of the things that made me know that yes, I'm not a secondary school teacher, even though I had experience in Nigeria, because Nigeria, they were a little bit lax with those that teach in secondary schools. You don't need to really have a license before you can teach in secondary school in Nigeria, especially during your National Youth Service Corps years, your NYSC years. So I worked as a secondary school teacher, but the exclusion for secondary school teachers is where I fall under. And as I was saying before, I fell under college and other vocational instructors. Do you understand? That is the number one exclusion. College and other vocational instructors with NOC 41210. That was where language teachers or language instructors were under. Do you understand? And other exclusions from the secondary school teachers are educational counselors 41320, elementary and secondary school teacher assistant 43100, elementary school and kindergarten teachers 41221, psycho educators in 41301 under the therapist in counseling and related specialized therapies, school principals and administrators of elementary and secondary school education 40021, secondary school librarian in 52100, library and public archive technicians, other instructors under 43109, and lastly, instructors of persons with disabilities 42203. Now, we have taken a lot about secondary school teachers under the ESDC NOC website. So let's move on after we have taken a lot on that. Now, they're saying, just like we did, um, pay particular attention to the main duties section. Ensure the duties listed match closely with the responsibilities of your work experience, just like we showed in the main duties. If these duties align, you have likely found the correct NOC that describes your work experience. Number one, from here, you can check to see whether this NOC code and occupation title are among the listed occupations eligible for the education category. If the occupation is listed, you are likely eligible for the education category. If the duties do not align, return to step one and try again with a different job title. Now, the table below lists example alternative job titles of all eligible occupations within the education category. So, just like we said, under the secondary school teachers. When it comes to NOC code or NOC occupation title, elementary and secondary school teacher assistant, you may not be recognized as an elementary and secondary school teacher assistant. You may be recognized as an educational assistant. You may fall under it. Educational resource assistant. You may fall under it. Homework assistant. You may fall under it. Remedial education aid. You may fall under special education assistant. Yes. Braille instructor, instructor of persons with a mobility impairment, instructors of persons who are deaf, instructor of persons who are hard of hearing, instructor of persons with a learning disability. So if you look at this one falls under instructors of persons with disabilities. Thank you, Rezin and Hadna. I see you like that live on TikTok. So if you are an instructor of persons with special needs, you fall under this. Instructor of persons with a visual impairment, maybe the person is blind, you fall under this. Lip reading instructor, you fall under this. Orientation and mobility instructor, you fall under. Sign language instructor, yes, there are some people that are sign language experts, you fall under this. Teacher for persons with intellectual disabilities, you fall under what? Instructors of persons with disabilities. Now, early childhood educators and assistants. If you have any job titles that are maybe like child care worker in daycare, you fall under this. So that is what I want. This is what I wanted to talk about very well. Thank you, Resin and Adna. I see a lot of your likes on TikTok. There are some people that are caregivers, but there are people that are focusing on the caregiver pilot program that want to be released March 31st. If you are wise and you know how to actually make yourself eligible, you can still be eligible for even this education category, so that if caregiver doesn't work, you may have the opportunity to what? You may have the opportunity to get selected under education category. Because as an early childhood educator and assistant, if you are a child care worker assistant, you may be eligible. If you are a daycare, if you are a daycare helper, you stand a fair chance. Oh, hi, Hats and Arts 2021. Okay, I see you. Okay, I see.
You speak English?
Yeah, yeah, I speak English.
Okay. Can speak English. Double W, please. Tap 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 your screen.
Tap
Thank you,
screen.
big love.
Okay. I don't know. I'm having a discussion here. Maybe I made a mistake. I'm not meant to join this.
Why don't speak French? Why I don't speak French? Why you don't want to I speak French?
Do you speak French? Est-ce que vous
Yes.
parlez la langue française?
Oui, je parle français, mais quelqu'un me dit don't speak French. Mais je préfère le français.
Pas de problème. Mais aujourd'hui, pour mon livre,
Like.
ok, d'accord, pas de problème. Pour ma session maintenant, je dois parler la langue anglaise à cause de euh, mon follower. So,
Ok, je comprends. Il y a quelqu'un qui parle anglais dans ton chat, je comprends.
d'accord, d'accord. Je vais faire la mélange, parler un peu la langue française et aussi. D'accord, d'accord, pas de problème. Ok, on continue. So let's continue, my people. Sorry about that for that French
Can I
break.
mute you just for now?
Oui, 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 vous pouvez parler.
Je vais te muter pour l'instant.
Qu'est-ce que vous dites?
Je t'ai dit que je vais te mute pour le moment.
Ok, d'accord, d'accord, pas de problème.
Merci.
Okay, so moving on. We, we said if you are into daycare helping, you stand a fair chance. If you are into daycare supervisor, daycare worker, okay, Resin, thank you very much. You said it is a switch for me. I hope you enjoyed that. Even though I was expecting something else, I thought maybe she wanted to ask a question. But okay, moving on. If you are a daycare supervisor, said you stand a fair chance. If you are a daycare worker, if you are an early childhood assistant, you stand a fair chance. If you are an early childhood education worker, you stand a fair chance. Early childhood educator preschool, early childhood educator ECE, you stand a fair chance. If you are an early childhood program staff assistant, you also stand a fair chance. If you are an early childhood supervisor, you stand a fair chance. Preschool helper, they're also into it. Preschool supervisor, you fall into it. Now, moving on, they said if you now want to come in as an elementary school or kindergarten teacher, you can fall into this teaching profession if you are a French as a secondary language elementary school teacher. If you are a French immersion teacher, elementary school. If you're a kindergarten teacher, oh, Resin and Hadna says, yes, I did. Thank you. I see a lot of your likes. If you're a primary school teacher, if you're a remedial teacher, elementary school, you stand a fair chance. A special education teacher, elementary school, you stand a fair chance. Special education teacher, primary school, you stand a fair chance. Supply teacher, elementary school, you are also there. Teacher, librarian, elementary school. Okay, I think I've taken this one before. Adult education teacher, secondary school. So all these teachers, you understand, they also fall into secondary school teachers. So they now said, note that the above is not an exhaustive description of education category eligible occupations. Oh, okay. Femi, Femi is saying, I have a question. You can ask your question, drop your questions. Oh, we're already more than an hour live, so we have to round this off so that it doesn't become too long for other people that are going to actually listen to the recording. But you can always ask your question. Drop your questions on the comment section or join us live to ask your question orally, and we'll be expecting your question. Now, for more information to determine your eligibility, including the main duties and exclusions for each occupation, click on the occupation link title, you understand, in the table to visit the ESDC's dedicated web pages. Now, how do education category based draws work? Lee0176, thank you very much. I really appreciate your like. I see it. Now, how does it really work? If you want to come into Canada as an educator or as a teacher, how can you actually work towards it? Now, Canada's express entry system manages three immigration programs: the Canadian Experience Class, the Federal Skilled Worker Program (FSWP), the Canadian Experience Class (CEC), the Federal Skilled Trades Program (FSTP). Now, they said you must meet the eligibility criteria for at least one of these programs to submit an express entry candidate profile. And most times, if you're outside of Canada, you would mostly what? You would mostly be in what? Be in the what? The Federal Skilled Worker Program. If you are not in Canada, if you are outside of Canada, you fall. It's people that are inside of Canada that will fall into the CEC. the Canadian Experience class. Or if you are a trades person, you fall into trades skilled work, federal skilled trades program. But most times, if you are an educator, you cannot be on that trades program again. You will be on that federal skilled worker program because of the NOCs 1, 2, or 3. Okay, Nana Zulai is asking, what NOC code will one use if your past experience is high school teacher and you currently ECA? Okay, you mean you are currently running your ECA? High school teacher, we have said it before, falls under secondary school teacher, but that is putatively. So you have to go check the NOC codes for yourself to ensure that, as I said, the main duties is what you are doing in that occupation. Your employment requirements match what is in that occupation, and yes, you stand a fair chance. So high school teachers are mostly secondary school teachers. Okay, Nanazula is saying early childhood assistant. Early childhood assistant is a different NOC code. That's why I said you have to go check if you are dealing with children. And I gave you the age bracket. I gave you from 6 years, 6 months rather, to 2 years. Those are people like in the kindergarten, elementary school, and things like that. If you are teaching people from 2 years to like how will I call it, to like 9, 12 years, those are people that are early childhood educators. Just if you are now teaching people like what do you call it, secondary school, you understand, from 12 years to like 18 years. So you have to look into that to ensure that you don't make a mistake in choosing, you understand, the wrong NOC code. Now, moving on, they said as part of your profile submission, if you want to submit your profile for Express Entry, you will be given a CRS score based on information entered in your profile. Express Entry draws take place roughly bi-weekly, that means every 2 weeks, and invite candidates who meet the CRS score cutoff and eligibility criteria for that draw to apply for permanent residence. So draws can be one, program specific. It can be general, inviting candidates from all programs. It can be provincial nominee program, PNP based, or the one we want, it can be category based. The category based is where education falls under. Now, category-based draws consider all candidates in the Express Entry pool who meet what? The job experience requirements in an eligible occupation. And the instructors for that specific draw. Oh, okay. We have a question. O.A. Femi is asking, my wife has good years of teaching language and religions of the world. Language of religions. Is that on linguistics? It's looking like one of the courses I did in school in the University of Ilorin under linguistics department. Languages of the world. Okay, experience in Nigeria. We are currently in BC. Okay, BC means British Columbia, I believe. So you are inside Canada, right? She is also a TA, teacher assistant, I believe, but doesn't have a diploma in education. What's your advice? Okay, I think we have alluded to something like this before. You understand? But again, to get your own exact suggestion based on some of the things we'll see about you, you can go on our profile, try to book a consultation with us, and we'll look into our own particular scenario and determine what best suits her. But from what you asked, if she doesn't have a diploma in education, then she needs to have a degree in education. If she doesn't have a degree in education, she needs to have a certificate in education. So look at the way I outlined it. NCE, Nigeria Certificate in Education, it's approved for immigration. You can use that one for immigration. That is a certificate. You understand? If she doesn't have a diploma, like she doesn't have ND, OND, PGD, you understand? Either ordinary diploma, higher national diploma, or postgraduate diploma in education, then she can get degree in education, bachelor's in education, master's in education, or just like I said before, certificate in it. If she doesn't have the time to go and study another degree program, certificate in education can work. You understand? And there's some specialized certifications. Because yes, I just talked about NC because for people that are in Nigeria, But now that you said she's in BC, in British Columbia, I believe in Canada, she can also look into the association or the Federation of Teachers in BC. You understand? And I know that there are some special programs they actually provide. Well, in Ontario, I don't know about British Columbia, but there are some special programs based on the experience she has, based on the industry or the occupation she wants to go into, whether for special education, whether for vocational training, whether for, you understand, since you are talking about languages and religions of the world, I don't know if that will fall under vocations, maybe religions, maybe like theology, and I don't know if language, that would be linguistics, my own kind of course that I studied in. So if she can do maybe like something related to language education, if she can, so just go on the website of, you can just click on it, Association for Teachers in British Columbia. You understand? It's going to bring some things out, and you can look at some of the accredited and registered courses or certifications in that niche that she is in, and see how she can actually use that to, you understand, work on. So if she's a teacher assistant, fine. She may not really even need, you understand, the diploma or the degree or the certificate in education. Again, go on the NOC website, NOC ESDC NOC website, and go and check. If she's a teacher assistant, you didn't give us exactly which kind of teacher assistant she is. Is she an elementary teacher assistant, elementary school teacher assistant? Is she a secondary school teacher assistant? Is she an assistant for instructors with persons with disabilities? So we need to know facts. That's why I said book a consultation, and we can now look into our own particular scenario and find out which of the teacher assistants she is in, and look at the NOC code and see how she can be well qualified as a teacher assistant in that particular field. So I hope that answers the question. Okay, so just to not just talk without giving follow-ups. So if you want to book a consultation, for some people that would always ask about consultation, let me just put a link there, and you can try to book a consultation through that particular link. Let me just put that now. So just go on this website that I'm sharing with you now, this website link, and you can talk with us specifically on it for your wife or any other persons you have currently that wants to actually talk with us. Do you understand? So I'll put that on all the, I'll put that on Instagram right now. So let me put that on TikTok as well, and on, what do you call it now, on YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube. So if you have any questions, even after this, just book a session, and we would come to respond to you. We'll try to respond to, once you book, and we're able to talk one on one. Do you understand? We'll be able to see your own particular scenario and see how we can actually work on things together. And if you need to talk to our immigration lawyer, because again, we focus on anything language related, just like I've been saying. If you want to talk with our immigration lawyer, we can actually link you to him or her to actually assist with that, with any aspect as regards to immigration. Okay, now moving on. Okay, we were still reading. Okay, give me a few minutes. I want to charge. All right, before my laptop falls, before it's, so where were we? We were still taking the, how would I call it? We're still taking the um yes, I think we were ending ending the article. We're rounding off. We're rounding off the reading of the article. So let's just try to round it off right now. I've used a lot of time. We said um these draws, the category-based draws is what we're referring to. Consider all candidates in the express entry pool who meet the job experience requirements in an eligible occupation and the instructions for that particular draw. We now said these draws often feature lower CRS cutoff scores than other draw types due to the smaller pool of candidates they choose from. Do you understand? So you can, if you align your expertise, if you align yourself very well to these draws, you can get selected quickly, faster than all other categories of draws. Regardless of the draw type, they said candidates with the highest CRS scores stand the best chance of receiving an ITA, invitation to apply for what? For permanent residence to Canada. Now, he said candidates who wish to be considered for category-based draws must first enter an eligible express entry profile under one of the three express entry managed programs. Do you understand? When submitting their profiles, candidates should also include relevant work experience under a category eligible occupation in their profile if applicable. And they said if the profile is accepted, the candidate has entered the pool. Candidates in the express entry pool are considered for all draw types that they are eligible for, meaning that, for example, should a candidate in the education category be eligible for more than one express entry category or program, they may receive an ITA through other draws that they are considered under. So, for instance, if you can also speak French in line with you being a teacher, they can pick you under the French speaking proficiency. If you don't speak French or you don't have good marks on your French, you understand, you can still get selected under education. If you're under STEM occupation, you also stand a fetcher under agriculture and like that, like that, like that. Now, once a relevant draw is held, candidates may receive an invitation to apply ITA provided they want have a high enough CRS score to meet that current cutoff. They have created an express entry profile before the tie-breaking rule cutoff time, because there's always a tie-breaking rule that those that created a profile maybe within today and March 1st, 2024, you understand, they may be the ones that they'll pick. They may not pick someone that created or that is currently creating the account today or will create the account tomorrow. You understand that kind of thing. Now, and of course, to receive the ITA, you have to meet all the conditions of the draws. So if an ITA is received, if you get the invitation to apply for permanent residence from Canada, candidates always have 60 days to submit a complete application for what? Permanent residence to IRCC, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. So thank you very much. We have come to the end of this article reading, reading of this article. If you really enjoyed it, put a thumbs up, put your best emoji, share with your friends. And if you have any questions, even after this live session, you can always drop it on the comment section, or of course, book a consultation session. Or okay, Nanazula, thank you very much too for joining. I see that you are always joining our live sessions. Really appreciate that. So thank you everyone also for joining. Really appreciate you. And always note that every time we always have a live session, at least once a week, we always have a live session where we talk about trending issues as it relates to immigration. And if you are part of those who would like to actually reach out to us, you understand, book a consultation or go on our profile on either Instagram, on TikTok, or on YouTube, and actually learn more. We have created lots of webinars, lots of conversations, and we have, you understand, in detail talked about how you can actually immigrate to Canada as a permanent resident. So if you go on our profile and you click on our website link, aos.nim.ng/PR, you can actually get to learn how to start working on your own permanent residency, you understand, application to Canada, either yourself or with the help of any licensed representative. So thank you very much, everyone, and do have a lovely day ahead. Bye for now. Au revoir. Bye bye.